I am 93, and there is a lot that I've gone through. Most all of it is as happy as can be. I'd just like to tell you a few of the things that crossed my life. My father poured steel. I remember instances where Daddy would come home from work, and he had to wear leggings so he'd be safe when he was pouring steel. Sometimes the steel would pop and get caught in his leggings, and he would come home and he'd be in bed for weeks getting over that steel burn. But he never complained. He never complained. One time the doctor told my dad, "Mr. Altman, you're getting a disease that maybe you ought to have all your teeth pulled." It was multiple sclerosis. So Daddy had all of his teeth pulled. He went to the dentist, came home, the teeth were pulled, and he had a brand new set of teeth already in his mouth. And there was a little trickle of blood that came down the corner of his lips. But again, Daddy never complained. He was quite a nice, strong man. My mother was an angel. Everybody loved my mother, and she loved them. My mother graduated high school when she was only 15, and they wanted her to teach school immediately. Even without college, they wanted her to teach school. But my mom saw my dad in the meantime, and he had a beautiful horse and buggy. She was 17 and he was 31. And what a wonderful marriage they did have. I can remember, now everybody has to believe this. I was being a real brat, and I knew I was. Yes. I was 2 years and 9 months old. And I wanted a drink of water, and my grandma wouldn't give me a drink of water. So I screamed, "I want a drink of water." And she wouldn't. I screamed again, "I want a drink of water." She wouldn't do it. But the third time, I really screamed. I don't know what it sounded like. But she did give me a drink of water. And I said to her, "This is warm." And she said, "That's what you get." And at that point, somebody, and I don't know who it was, somebody came out of the bedroom and they had a bundle in their arms, and it was my brand new brother. 2 years, 9 months I was. Now they say you can't remember anything until you're about 4 years old. But that was the day when that wonderful brother came into my life. So it went, and my brother and I, we got the chicken pox. Roger was in one chair and I'm in the next chair. Chicken pox. Mom's trying to get us not to scratch because it's going to make a scar. That was hard. And my mother got diphtheria, and we all thought she was going to die. It was terrible. Daddy went to town while she was sick with diphtheria. And when he came back, he had Mommy a diamond ring. He had never been able to give her a diamond ring when they were married. So he took care of that, well, even though he thought Mommy might not live. And my brother had diphtheria too. The doctor gave him 4 big shots of antitoxin. And he said, this 4th shot will either kill him or cure him, but I have to take the chance. Well, Roger recovered. But one day when the doctor was there, he said, "Where's that Inez? Where's that Inez? I want to give her a shot." Boy, did I get out of the house. Oh, I ran, and I put myself in the garage between the bumper of the car and the garage door. I was crowded in there. Wasn't any room for me to be there. But the doctor was saying, "I'll bet she's in this bedroom." No, she's not there. "I'll bet she's in the living room." No. He had to give up. He couldn't find me. He couldn't find me. I never got the shot, and I never got the diphtheria. One time, I would guess I was in the 7th grade, and one of the boys in class got up on the teacher's desk and jumped up and down because she had left the room. When she came back, I told on him. I tattletaled. Yeah, I thought that wasn't right for him to do that to the teacher's desk. What do you think the teacher did to me? She hurt me. She said, "Class, I'm going to take an 8 by 11 sign and put it on the back of Inez's dress, and it's going to say Tattletale. And I want Inez to walk up and down the aisles, and you all can call her a Tattletale." And I'm sure by this time I was crying. I didn't realize I was a tattletale. I thought I was kind of helping the teacher. But that's life. On my 7th birthday, when my wonderful daddy bought me a brand new piano, I remember it even cost $344. It was called a Remington. Piano lessons started right away. I didn't have to practice very much because it was easy, but my teacher was happy. Then my teacher said one day, "I'm moving out of Ohio. I'm going to another state. I would like for you to take my 25 piano students." So I said to myself, how can that be? I'm an 8th grader taking on 25 students? But I did. I had my own radio program when I was in high school. It was called The Melody Girl, and I'd sit at the piano and sing. Well, we had no money, but I would take the lyrics down to the songs that I heard on the radio and write them in shorthand and mark down what chords I was hearing all the time. And so I had a brand new song without having to pay 5 cents. My mother and I had a wonderful friendship. She was just 19 years older than I, so we did a lot of things together. We got some money together one day and rode the streetcar from Sciotaville to New Boston, Ohio. And we were on search for my first pair of high heels. Now I'm in the 7th grade. I'm short. There's nothing much to me. But we found a pair of high heels for me. And since the 7th grade, I would have to tell you, I've never been out of my stilettos. My feet just simply seemed to be made for high heels. I was leaving the 8th grade, getting ready for high school, and a fellow that lived across the street, named John, became my friend. I felt I was so lucky that John loved me. And we were really sweethearts all during high school. And then one day, a man walked down the aisle of the church. I was sitting at the piano, and it was the man that I fell in love with at first sight, and I forgot all about John. And I'm so sorry, because I never wanted to hurt John. But love is like that when you're a teenager. You can do things that you don't think through. And yet it was the way my life should have been, because that man that walked down the aisle of the church was the son of the minister. And when he put his hand out at the piano and said, "Hello there, I'm Phil Crofts," I touched his hand, and a year later I married him. The best time of my life. We had 48 years together, 48 wonderful years. I wasn't supposed to go to the movies in those days. They were preaching against it. And the first week Philip was in town, he took me to a movie. And I felt, oh boy, I better hide behind some of these seats in case some of the choir members sees me. They'll tell on me. And the picture was the movie that your wife got me, Flirtation Walk. I've listened to it 3 or 4 times. I love it every time I see it. But that was my first date with Philip, and in the middle of the show, he reached over and kissed me in the middle of the forehead. And we weren't ever separated after that until we got married just a year afterwards. I would like for everybody, when they get married, to be sure that they love one another. And when they do love one another, they should keep on loving one another. You should never let it erode. You should never let it fail you. Just keep loving, loving, and loving. Now, I know I'm talking to some women who were married years ago. I'd just like to tell you that life can be beautiful, meaningful, lovingful. It can be everything, but it all depends upon the wife. When marriage comes around, is the wife going to change? Is she going to not care how she dresses? Is she not going to fix her hair and her face when she gets up in the morning? To this day, I remember always dressing up for my husband. Now, he died in 1984, and here I am, alone, basically. But I still get up every morning have my shower, wash my hair, dress up for Philip. No, he's not around, but he's with me in a lot of ways. That's the good part of getting married when you're young and you don't make enough money. You really need you need everything when you first get married. But some of my best meals cost 25 cents, and it'd be a small can of tuna, and I would cream it, put some noodles in it, and it was good. 25-cent dinner. That's the way life is. When you are young and you're in love, anything will go. My husband became a very successful JCPenney manager, and he managed 5 states. And so we were in Connecticut, Illinois, in the Flossmoor area, in Indiana, 2 stores in Indiana he had, and all of them showed profits. He was just so wonderful as a merchant. Then World War II came along, and he was called. Because he had lived in China as the son of a missionary, the government found that out, and they put him in the University of Chicago to study Chinese, and then they'd send him to Japan during the war. Well, he graduated in Chinese. His last test was to be able to read in the Chinese newspaper. So he always made me proud. He always made me proud. Whatever he did, it was successful. We lived in Connecticut. It was Christmas time, and I had gone shopping. I had to buy everything. Just in one trip to Howland's in Bridgeport, a big shopping store, I had gone at 9 o'clock in the morning, and at 5 o'clock, I had a lot of packages, and I was ready to start home. When I got out of the store, my breath stopped. It had snowed all the time I was in the store, and there were about 10 inches of snow on the ground. I thought, I'm 15 miles away from where I live. How am I going to do it? So I got in my car, and I was traveling about, not even 5 miles an hour. I was creeping. Every truck on this road had jackknifed. It was hard to believe that a highway was full of jackknifed trucks. But I kept going. And I had gone about 7 miles, and I looked across the highway, and there was a man walking. And I looked carefully, and that was my husband. I said, "That's my husband." I stopped, and he walked across the highway. It was I don't know how many lanes of a highway, probably 4 or 5 lanes. And that man walked across through the snow, the jackknives, and got to my car. Now it was 0 weather, and he had walked all of those miles, knowing he would find me wrecked somewhere. But if ever in my life I have one memory, and that one will never go from me, when he walked all of those miles through the ice and the snow, crossed the highway, and got me. Soon after Philip was a manager in Connecticut, I became really happy in television. I had my own television show, and it was called Twilight Time. At 6 o'clock in the evening, I'd sit at the organ and sing, accompany my